HTG crew, what up, y'all? How we living? How we living? Another week means another week of fucking PGA Tour golf. Another week. We're blessed enough to sit here and talk to you guys about the PGA Tour. Coming off an awesome week of match play. Again, one of the more unique events that we see on the tour all year long. Love that they couple it with March Madness, right? Having the event in March when everyone's minds are already in bracketology mode. And we had a fun match play event this year. We really did. A lot of exciting young names. Some making their match play debuts this year. So a really fun event. As far as Draftkings goes, a real crapshoot event, right? Like not dissimilar, as I mentioned in the Quickie article this past week, to the college basketball tournament, right? Like it's called March Madness for a reason, and especially in a match play format for golf. I mean, upsets, they can happen, right? Like upsets were abound as we saw, guys making birdies in bunches. And yeah, a lesser caliber player in stroke play tournament events can outperform a higher caliber player in an event or two. So seeing that happen throughout the course of a match play event, not uncommon. So I hope you guys weren't afraid to get different with your match play lineups and DraftKings this week. Pretty poor week for us here at the HTG pod, but still had a shitload of fun playing, right? Playing the match play events on DraftKings because of the different format, and certainly was a fun event to watch. So I'm glad that the PGA Tour shakes it up. As a matter of fact, I wish they shook it up more with the event formats on tour. I mean, start finding ways to make events have similar formats that we see amateurs play, right? Like, I don't really understand why there isn't maybe, I mean, sure, you maybe only need one event a year in this format, but why don't we have like a two-man scramble event on tour, right? Why don't we have maybe more Stableford events? We do have the Barracuda, right? Which is one event that gets a little bit different on tour, but that's a swing season, opposite field type of event where you don't get the top names on tour in the event. Like, I'd like to see the PGA Tour get more creative with the formats. And actually, I listened to a podcast, Pat Mayo Experience, highly recommend it. A guy who really trailblazed the golf podcasting industry. He mentioned an idea that I think would be fantastic. Why not have a golf tournament where they use DraftKings scoring? So PGA Tour holds a normal event, but instead of having your standard tournament stroke play scoring, just use DraftKings scoring. And whichever player accumulates the most DraftKings points over the week, well, they go ahead and raise the trophy as the winner. So would like to see the PGA Tour try some new and different sort of styles of events. And match play, at least this is one that they have sort of inserted into a regular spot in the schedule. They're at Austin Country Club. It's a WGC event, so it has a higher weighting and in that way pulls, some of the higher caliber players. I mean, we get the best players in the world to come to this match play event. So would like to see the PGA Tour get more creative in that respect. And kudos to them for really allowing this match play event to take off and for coupling it, putting it in March on the schedule. Very intelligent, savvy move to, put it next to the college basketball March Madness tournament when everyone's minds are already thinking brackets. So a fun week. Before we go ahead and recap everything that happened at the match play, I'm going to go ahead and spark up. I need a quick drink of water first, though. It's a hot day here in Southern California, so Cottonmouth it's out. And this strain needs no introduction. It's actually what I smoked last time I was on video on the podcast. It is Gorilla Glue number 4. By Sessions Supply Company. It's a hybrid. This is the same batch that I had a couple weeks back, so it's also testing at a 21.54% THC. So I'm going to go ahead and get this bad boy sparked up, and we can talk some WGC match play, in more detail. Because I already mentioned how much I like the event and, the different format, given that we're almost always playing, traditional tournament stroke play on the PGA Tour week in and week out. But there were some specifics to the event that were particularly interesting. So the first particularly interesting thing was your winner, Billy Horschel, old Billy Ho, winning 2-1. I'm sorry, over Scotty Scheffler in the championship match, in the final match. And man, Billy Horschel, if Billy Horschel's running a hot putter, this guy's world class. I mean, we saw him ride a hot putter en route to a torrid finish at the end of the 2014 season that saw him win the FedEx Cup, which obviously, as you know, not an easy thing to do. Takes a very, very, high caliber, high pedigreed player typically to win the FedEx Cup. I mean, Billy Horschel, he can win any event if his putter comes to town. This guy can just go absolutely nuclear. So Billy Ho, very, very interesting, high upside play when it comes to DraftKings. A guy who particularly you want him when he's riding really, really good form. Horschel, to me, really seems like a form type of player, a guy who we can tell if he's got it or if he doesn't, based on his performances in recent events. And yeah, I mean, this dude was just so clutch with the putter, especially in that mid distance, those like 4 to 8 foot range. The guy was pure as could be. So Billy Horschel, man, a really, really interesting player, because when he has it all going, like when he's in really good form, and that, like, seriously, almost nobody other than, peak Jordan Spieth, maybe, almost nobody have I seen be able to get as unbelievably white hot with the putter as Horschel can at times. When he's in that mode, man, he is a fucking tough player. A guy who can win a DELL match play event. A guy who can win a FedEx Cup. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. If Horschel is riding good form, he's a guy you sort of have to consider as an entirely different asset or entity than when he's not in as good form. And he's pretty unique in that respect. So Billy Horschel just crushed the Pete Dye design. A good fit for him, and anything's a good fit when you're rolling a putter as hot as Billy Ho was. So good to see him get another, marquee sort of finish under his belt, because yeah, Horschel's already had a pretty stellar PGA Tour career, by all accounts, and this is just another feather in the cap to add a WGC match play win to that resume. Some other things to note. Okay, our second place finisher is someone who I've been mentioning a lot recently. Scotty Scheffler, our boy Chef. I'm telling you guys, look out for this dude. He is a player. Like, obviously people understand that he's a talented player and that he's someone to watch on the PGA Tour, but I'm telling you, this guy's going to put his name up there with the Wolfs and the Hovlands. Again, Morikawa sort of running away at this point in time with his resume, as ridiculous as it is at such a young age. But Scotty Scheffler, he is as talented as these guys. And if not, he's very close. I would like to put him on the same tier. And he just doesn't quite get the same respect as those other names do, the Hovlands, the Wolfs, the Morikawas. So keep an eye on Chef. I'm sure, this match play performance, this runner-up finish, opened some people's eyes. Because, as I mentioned, the match play event being a different style of event, usually you can get a little more eyeballs on the event than people who traditionally watch the PGA Tour. You usually get maybe a couple college basketball fans to tune in due to the bracket style setup of the event at the WGC match play. But you usually get maybe a few more casual fans into this event than other events. And for that reason, maybe some people are being introduced to Scotty Scheffler as a result of his runner-up finish here at the WGC DELL match play. So keep an eye on Scheffler, guys. I've been mentioning it a lot lately. He looks like he's really starting to make hay and get into that breakthrough victory. And I really wouldn't count out a major championship being that breakthrough victory either. He is that good and that talented, in my opinion. So someone we will also want to keep our eye on at Augusta. Someone else who we're going to keep an eye on at Augusta, because he just qualified as a result of his finish here at the WGC match play. And I mentioned him after the Players, where he had a stellar performance. Watching his Sunday round was amazing, honestly. It was quite a treat. Brian Harman, continuing to play really good golf. So he is now qualified. He's now moved into the top 50 in the official world golf rankings, which qualifies him for the Masters. Last time we saw Harman at the Masters was in 2018, where he finished in 44th. But man, I mean, watching Harman play both at the Players and in his matches at the match play, I've never seen a more confident and more on point Brian Harman, especially on approach. I mean, the irons are incredibly dialed. So I'm very interested in what the pricing for Harman's going to come in at for the Masters Millionaire Maker on DraftKings. Definitely a player that I'm going to be taking a hard look at. This guy is gaining so much momentum, and he looks so confident and so on point out there on the golf course. So keep an eye on Brian Harman for sure. And last but not least, because I had a few takeaways on performances I saw from the match play, was very impressed or encouraged, I should say, by the play of Tommy Fleetwood. The irons really do seem to be returning to form for Fleetwood. Of course, highlighted by the hole-in-one he made on the fourth hole in his match against Fratelli in the round of 16. But the irons, they look like they're back for Fleetwood. And we know what Fleetwood can do when those irons are in form and when his game rounds into form. We know the caliber of player he is. So definitely another guy to keep an eye on. Just these guys who seem to be rounding into form. The Fleetwoods, the Schefflers, the Harmans. They've shown us enough over these last few events that it looks like the time to hop on is very soon. And these are all guys that I have no problems with at Augusta, right? Like, that's a golf course that fits all of these guys' games, and I can see them performing well. So them coming in with good form, really something to note coming into a millionaire maker at Augusta for the Masters. When we get these big events coming up, it's when I really, really like to pay attention to how guys are playing coming into those events. So, Harman, Scheffler, Fleetwood, guys that I'll certainly be taking a close look at their pricing on DraftKings when it is time for Augusta. And mentioning Augusta, you'll notice, of course, we have a weak field this week for the Valero Texas Open. It being right before the Masters, it shouldn't be as a surprise that, we got a withdrawal from Dustin Johnson. We don't have many of the top names in the field. Should come as a surprise to nobody with players getting ready for the Masters. And to that note, I don't really particularly want to play anyone this week at the Valero Texas that I'm looking heavily at for the Masters next week. So a guy like Jordan Spieth, who, I mean, by all accounts, looks pretty solid as a play this week. I mean, very solid as a play this week. I'm kind of just going to hope that, he doesn't, maybe overlooks this event a bit, doesn't have his A game, is sort of treating it as a tune-up for the Masters. And maybe if he underperforms, we even get an ownership discount on him at Augusta. I doubt that for a player like Spieth, who has such a great course history at Augusta. But, if he just sort of underperforms here and he comes in high-owned at the Valero and doesn't perform very well, maybe even misses a cut, I'm hoping that we get an ownership discount because I absolutely love Spieth at Augusta. So I'm going to sort of fade these guys who I'm going to be looking to at Augusta next week. So just something to note there. And with that, I guess I can re-spark this thing. We can get into the Valero Texas Open. I mean, to be honest, guys, obviously not my favorite event. I'm kind of looking past this one. I'm super pumped for the Masters, as I'm sure you guys are. It's been a while since we've had a Masters in April. Back to when, of course, our boy T-Dub got it done in epic and emotional fashion. So I'm really excited to get back to Augusta in April, where the Masters is supposed to be on the schedule. And, we just got this event to get through until then. So let's go ahead and re-spark and crack our way through the Valero Texas Open, build up a little bit of a bankroll, right, so that we can go heavy into our Masters Millionaire Maker on DraftKings. Okay, guys. So, when we try and build up that bankroll, we're going to be doing so at TPC San Antonio on the Oaks course. As you would imagine, it's in San Antonio, Texas. Course is a par 72, Plays at 7,494 yards, and we are again on Bermuda greens. Corey Connors is our defending champion at 20 under. Won the event in 2019 where he qualified as a Monday qualifier. Was an awesome event, awesome win for Corey Connors. Really set the trajectory of his career on the PGA Tour. Just solidifying him as a stalwart on tour for years to come. We did not have a 2020 champion because we did not have a 2020 version of this event. Thanks, COVID, for that one. But Connors will be defending his title. Statistical model we're looking at, someone similar to Corey Connors, quite honestly. We want ball strikers. We're not worried about guys that can putt this week, even though I did keep putting in the model because, as I've told you guys many times, I'm going to at least sprinkle it in every week just to try to get a little bit different and see if we can leverage a lack of ownership on players that are maybe running a hot putter and see how that works out for us. So far, sort of mixed results, but we're going to keep chugging this season until, I really think it is being a detriment or until I can identify if, it is aiding and helping us pick out some players that are maybe lower owned, but still putting very well. So we're still sprinkling in strokes gained putting. Our most two important stats, though, I mentioned ball striking being super important. Strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach are what make up the ball striking statistic. So we're going to include strokes gained off the tee and strokes gained approach very heavily in our model, weighing off the tee a bit more because I also want some guys that can get a little bit of driving distance off these tees. We're just shy of 7,500 yards on this par 72 course, so driving distance going to come into play a bit. Also looking at opportunities gained, another sort of ball striking metric that's tied to strokes gained approach. It's going to let us know who's hitting the ball close to the hole, right? Opportunities 15 feet and inside. We want guys to have close birdie putts, right? It took 20 under to win this event in 2019. So we want guys having opportunities at birdies. The best opportunities at birdies on this course are on the par fives. We get a full complement of 4 par fives. So we've added strokes gained on par fives to the statistical model. And then, as I already mentioned, strokes gained putting is sprinkled in. So our 5 statistical stats that we're going to look at for our golfers this week: strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained on approach, opportunities gained, strokes gained on par fives, and strokes gained putting. See who's riding a hot flat stick and see if that can't get us some advantage over the field. My winner this week, is going to come from the mid-shelf plays this week. Drop who you think is my winner in the comments. I'll let you know how close you were. You guys probably won't be surprised, will be my hint. You won't be shocked. You've heard me talk about this guy before, so might not be shocked that he's my winner for this week. That will be my hint to you, along with the fact that he comes out of the mid-shelf. So with that, let's not waste any time. I'm going to respark this bad boy. I'm going to get a drink of water. We're going to get into the top shelf plays. Top shelf plays are priced at $10,000 or more in Draftkings salary. Our first top shelf play, and he was a guy who I teetered on the fence on wanting to save him for Augusta. I mentioned I kind of want to save people for the Masters and Augusta. It's Tony Finau at $11,000, 19.1% projected ownership. A guy who plays very well at Augusta, so I will be taking a look at him next week. But also a guy who doesn't need to win here to even pay off the salary as the top price player in the field. Dustin Johnson was at $11,800, but he withdrew as the only player to withdraw in this field. So that leaves effectively Finau as the highest priced player in the field. This guy just makes birdies in bunches. Nobody in this field is better off the tee. He's been great on approach lately. He's been stellar in opportunities gained, 9th in this field in that category over the last 12 measured rounds. There's nothing not to like, so I had to mention him. It's sort of a play where if you have enough guys in the SCHWAG bag that you like, or if you have a lineup you can build that saves you a lot of salary, I would like to take any salary savings up to Finau. I just think it's going to be kind of difficult to build with that roster construction this week. So not in love with him, but certainly he looks good on the model. He's a good course fit. Tournament history here, he's made the cut all 3 times he's played the event, with his best finish being a T3 in 2017, so he's got upside. So nothing not to like about Finau, and that's why I sort of had to mention him at $11,000, 19.1%. The only red flag or sort of yellow flag is that I want to play him at the Masters. It's also why I left Jordan Spieth off. He looks totally fine at $10,700, but I'm saving him for Augusta. So after Finau, our next top shelf play is Scottie Scheffler, young Chef. $10,400 price tag, 14.8% projected ownership, coming in 9th in the custom model, 34th on approach, 7th putting, 45th in opportunities gained, 7th off the tee, and 58th in on the par 5s is really something that I would expect him to provide more upside with. A guy who pretty long off the tee, really good off the tee. I'd expect his par 5 scoring to be better, or at least for him to provide more upside to score better on those par 5s, especially with the fact that he's ranking 7th on Bermuda greens and putting on Bermuda greens against this field in the last 12 measured rounds. Would really expect him to be able to polish off more birdies on the par 5, so I think he provides more upside there. You guys know how high I am on Scheffler. In a field this week, I mean, he's one of the most talented players in this field. So $10,400 price tag might seem high, but it makes sense. Of course, it's a little inflated coming off the runner-up at the match play. But Scheffler's confidence should be sky high, and I don't see any reason why he can't win this event. And he was actually my second option for my winner. I ended up going with a player out of the mid-shelf. But man, I thought long and hard about going with Scheffler as my winner. I really like his prospects this week. And I only have one more top shelf play, and not in love with him. He has not been himself over the last few years. It's Hideki Matsuyama at a $10,100 price tag, 11.8% projected ownership. That ownership's so low on a guy whose pedigree is just head and shoulders above most of the players in this field. Decky, by pedigree, deserves to be priced here in the top tier, in the top shelf at $10,100. Historically, his game would be a great fit here. He's long enough off the tee. He kills it with the mid-irons. I mean, he's just not been himself, and he has not been himself for a while now, to the point that, maybe we have to move his baseline and what we expect Hideki Matsuyama to be moving forward in his career. But for one more event, at the very least, especially in a field this week, he's statting out just good enough to meet the threshold of me mentioning him as a play. 29th in the custom model, which obviously not great for the price tag, but 14th on approach, so it looks like the approach numbers coming back over these last 12 measured rounds. 14th in opportunities gained, so he's hitting it pretty close. 83rd off the tee, so, when you get one thing back, something else seems to go astray. If Hideki can hit some fairways this week, it looks like the irons are back. I don't love the price tag, but man, you're not going to get much better buy low opportunities. The guy's barely in double-digit ownership projection at 11.8%, and this field is so weak that if Hideki does show a flash back to his form of old, what a phenomenal buy low opportunity. So it's a high-risk, high-reward play, but I figured I needed to mention Hideki this week, with Decky just barely cracking into the top shelf and just barely cracking double-digit ownership. Man, feels like a good buy low opportunity. So Hideki Matsuyama rounding out our top shelf plays. We only had 3 top shelf plays, but with the withdrawal of DJ, there's only, 4 players to choose from, so we're recommending 75% of the top shelf effectively at this point. Most of our attention is going to be in the mid-shelf here, where we have, 16 mid-shelf plays. Mid-shelf plays are priced $7,500 to $10,000 in DraftKings pricing. And it looks like a balanced build type of week where we're sort of going to want to live in the mid-tier. And if we somehow save enough money to get up to a guy like Scheffler, a guy like Finau, then we do that. Hideki I'm reserving really for lineups where I'm pretty chalky. I'm taking some high owned guys in my other slots in my lineup, and I just really need a spot to be different. I think starting a build with Hideki is going to be pretty darn different this week. So I think what's going to be common is a lot of people are going to start their builds in the mid shelf as a way to save salary. And a lot of guys are going to start with these top two plays I have in the mid shelf. The first being Abraham Answer at $9,700, 19.4% projected ownership. Answer has absolutely been balling lately, coming in third in the custom model, 8th on approach, 8th in opportunities gained, 16th off the tee, 7th in par 5s, and 98th with the putter on Bermuda. So if Answer can do anything on these greens, then he's going to pay off this salary for sure. I understand why the ownership's coming in so high. He's like a cash game lock for me. Like, just set it and forget it. Throw him in your cash lineups. Answer just looking like a phenomenal play. I understand why the ownership's there. I understand why people will probably build their lineups, mostly starting with these players in the mid shelf, especially the mid 8K all the way up to Answer up here at the top of the 9K range is stacked this week. Stacked with plays. Starting your cash lineups with Answer and then immediately slotting in Corey Connors at $9,500, our defending champ from 2019. 21.6% projected ownership, but Connor's another guy who's just been amazing with the ball striking lately. Comes in first in the custom model, 4th on approach, 19th in opportunities gained, 5th off the tee, 1st in par 5 scoring, and 13th with the putter on Bermuda. So a guy who is by all accounts an awful putter is showing us some upside with the flat stick. He's live to win this thing again. Just what a great fit. And starting cash lineups, Answer Connors is it feels like a no-brainer to me. If you're going to play a tournament style lineup, play to the $200,000 to first Draftkings lineup or Draftkings contest this week, if you start your lineups, Answer Connors, you're going to want to find a way to get different after that. You're going to need at least one player in that lineup that differentiates you from the field, because I suspect a lot of people are going to be starting Answer Connors. Another good play here in the $9,000 range, Ryan Palmer, $9,400 price tag, 16.5% projected ownership, coming in 22nd in the custom model, 39th on approach, 70th with the putter, so that's where we're going to need him to step it up, 40th in opportunities gained, 38th off the tee, and 7th on the par 5s. Palmer, a guy who's been cut here the last 2 times he's played the event, so that is my red flag with Ryan Palmer, but prior to being cut the previous 2 years, his finishes in 2017, 2016, and 2015 were T6, T4, and T6, respectively. So Palmer definitely has some upside, comes into this event in really good form, and has shown that historically he can perform well here. So I do really like Ryan Palmer at $9,400 and 16.5% projected ownership. Sticking in this $9,000 range, love Cameron Tringale, $9,300 price tag, 20.8% projected ownership. Tringale coming in 21st in the custom model, 69th on approach, 59th with the putter, 21st in opportunities gained, 11th off the tee, and 31st in par 5 scoring. So while he hasn't been the best on approach, at least he's hitting it close. So he has given himself, very viable birdie opportunities. So being a field neutral putter on Bermuda, if he can stick around that area, or maybe just, run a little hot with the putter this week, I do really like Tringale, a guy who historically a very solid ball striker, especially in comparison to a field this week. Came T17 here last year, has missed the cut 2 of the last 3 tries around here in this event, but with the T17 last year has shown that he has some upside here. I do like Tringale at that $9,300 price tag. Chuck Hoffman at $9,200, 21.6% projected ownership, also looking like a stellar play. 15th in the custom model, 5th on approach, 41st in putting, 26th in opportunities gained, 42nd off the tee, and 64th in par 5 scoring. Hoffman and Tringale, their ownerships are what scare me. 20.8% for Tringale, 21.6% for Hoffman. They're statting out great, and they've been in great recent form. Just sort of feels like if you can eliminate a fifth of the field by fading a guy like Tringale or a guy like Hoffman, particularly a guy like Hoffman, who has shown he can be a little bit more volatile, I would prefer to go that route. So while I do really, really like how Tringale and Hoffman look on paper, and that's why the ownership's there on them. Man, it's really tempting to go for a fade, and then you eliminate a fifth of the field if they do miss a cut, particularly with a guy like Chuck Hoffman, who again he runs a little bit volatile. So definitely want to mention them because they look like great plays from a stat perspective, from statting out. The ownership, though, it does have me a bit concerned. So if you're someone that can stomach ownership fades, definitely Tringale and Hoffman are two spots that I think are ripe for ownership fadeability. A guy who I'd rather look to because of the reduced ownership on him and the reduced price tag, Siwoo Kim at $8,900, 15.2% projected ownership. A guy who is talented enough to win this event for sure, especially in a field this week. I mean, he can win in strong fields. The guy's won the Players before, right? Coming in 10th in the custom model, 2nd on approach, 24th in putting, 12th in opportunities gained, 71st off the tee is our concern with Siwoo, but coming in 3rd in par 5 scoring, a guy who's also a super aggressive player, particularly on par 5s, which I love to see in an event where we're going to want as many birdies as we can get. If Siwoo can hit enough fairways, Siwoo is one of my favorite plays this week. If Siwoo's, if he's playing well off the tee, he could win this event. He is not our pick to win, but man, I'm loving myself the upside of some Siwoo Kim this week, especially at an $8,900 price tag. Came T4 last year. He's got the game to improve on that and actually win this event. So Siwoo Kim, love him at $8,900. Also love Cameron Davis. I always mention this guy, $8,800, 15.4% projected ownership. And he is my pick to win this week. You are right if you said Cameron Davis was going to be my pick to win this week. I told you guys that it was a player that I often like. This course should fit up perfectly, should set up perfectly for Cameron Davis, should really fit his game. A guy who can gain in length off the tee, hits plenty of fairways, stuffs the ball next to pins, coming in 1st in this field in opportunities gained over the last 12 measured rounds, 7th on approach, 39th with the putter. So if he can run hot with the putter, and as I've mentioned before, he's a guy who can gain like 5 strokes putting in any given event. So he can run up the numbers with the flat stick, which you need to be able to do to win on tour. 22nd off the tee, 13th in par 5 scoring. Nothing not to like with this guy. Go find a number on him at DraftKings Sportsbook or whatever sportsbook you like to bet at. I love Cameron Davis this week. It's why I do suspect that a lot of people are going to live in the mid-tier, and I will too. Grabbing a couple guys up top in that $9,000 range or in the mid-$9,000 range, and then being able to grab Siwoo and or Cameron Davis just feels so appealing. They carry, the win equity of those guys as in comparison to the top shelf, really not all that different, right? Like a guy like Tony Finau. Tony Finau's only win is in an opposite field event at the Puerto Rico Open. So really, how much more win equity does he carry than a guy like Siwoo Kim, for example, who has won an event like the Players? So just something to consider. And it's also why I suspect we're seeing a lot of balanced builds. So many strong plays here in the $9,000, $8,000 range, including my winner, Cameron Davis. Lonto Griffin right below Cam Davis at $8,700, 17.9% projected ownership. Also looking like a great play. A guy who's seemingly looks like a different player this year. Like he has seriously elevated his game, and he's been maintaining that elevated play for quite some time now. So over the last 12 measured rounds, Lonto coming in 19th in the custom model, 9th on approach, 32nd putting, 65th in opportunities gained, 27th off the tee, and 75th in the par 5. So going to need to see Lonto improve on the par 5 play. Made the cut here the only time he played the event in 2018, but did come T58. But as I mentioned, looks like Lonto sort of reinvented himself into just a higher caliber player than he was previously. So I do anticipate that he has a higher ceiling in this event than that T58 he showed in 2018. So Lonto also looking like a strong play and also carrying ownership at 17.9%. man, all the ownership sitting in this mid shelf. Chris Kirk, $8,600 price tag, 18.8% projected ownership. Another player in this mid shelf carrying a lot of ownership, and it's warranted. Kirk played this event the last 5 times it's been held, missed the cut in 2019, missed the cut in 2017, but the other 3 years came T8, T13, and T8, so it was plenty of upside. Been hitting the ball well, coming in 17th in the custom model, 40th in approach, 67th in putting, 31st in opportunities gained, 20th off the tee, and 43rd in par 5s over the last 12 measured rounds. Kirk just doing it all pretty solidly and has turned in some pretty good performances here lately. Has some good results to show for it. So while he feels a bit overpriced, the field is very weak. So maybe he is actually, worthy of this pricing, and the ownership's there at 18.8%. So don't hate Kirk as a play this week. Just going along with the theme that this mid shelf is absolutely stacked. And we have another high-owned mid-shelf play in Keegan Bradley, $8,400 price tag, 19.3% projected ownership, coming in 7th in the custom model, 25th on approach, 43rd in putting, 31st in opportunities gained, 24th off the tee, and 11th in par 5s. Bradley, similarly to a guy like Siwoo Kim, is a player that can win, events with stacked fields, a guy who's won the BMW before, right? So to win in a field this week in this type of event would not come as a surprise to me for a guy like Keegan Bradley. Keegan played this event last in 2018 where he came T45, was cut in 2017, and came T37 in 2016. So made the cut 2 of his last 3 times. Yep, looking solid. Keegan, normally a guy I don't love to play when he's chalk, like the 19.3% projected ownership will probably keep me away from Keegan, because he, sort of similarly to like Chuck Hoffman, pretty volatile player. Like if Keegan's not going to churn out a high-end finish for us, he's very live to miss the cut, right? So Keegan Bradley, while I like the setup and I like the course fit, I don't love the ownership at 19.3%. Might roll the dice on a guy like Joel Dahmen, $8,200 price tag, 2.1% projected ownership. The concern obviously being coming off of his first PGA Tour victory there last week at Corrales Punta Cana. Probably a pretty emotional win for him, I would imagine, right? Like that's a breakthrough victory. He was certainly celebrating, I'm sure. Just not sure exactly where his head will be, but the game should fit well. So I do like Dahmen, who's coming in 16th in our custom model, 2.1% projected ownership. I don't love that he's just coming off his first PGA Tour victory, right? That's got to be an emotional win. I'm sure he was celebrating, but if you don't think that necessarily matters as much, then I felt like I needed to mention old bucket hat Dahmen at that price tag and ownership, especially in a field this week. Also love HV3, Harold Varner III, 17.9% projected ownership. I've been mentioning him like every week he's played at this point. I mean, 25th in the custom model, 6th off the tee. This guy's been balling off the tee lately. Want to see his approach numbers return to form. 77th on approach over the last 12 measured rounds in this field. So need to see HV3 start to improve with the irons. HV3, another guy at high ownership that I feel like runs volatile enough that I would probably prefer to fade. But, again, looking like a good course fit. I've mentioned to you guys that this season I'm trying to put less of an onus on ownership projection and sort of just take the guys that I like, or at the very least let you guys know who's statting out well and who looks good in the models. So even at the 17.9% projected ownership, wanted to mention HV3, even though I'll go under the field on him because, I put him in that same bucket as Chuck Hoffman, as Keegan Bradley, these high-owned guys that, if they do play well, they're going to get you, very high upside finishes, but they're volatile enough that they could also miss a cut. And if they miss the cut and you can eliminate a fifth of the field, that seems very appealing. So after HV3, another guy with some sticks after his name. Let's go with Chucky 3 Sticks, Charles Howell III, $7,800 price tag, 5.3% projected ownership. And I love the ownership on old Chucky 3 Sticks here. Coming in 5th in the custom model, 22nd on approach, 61st in putting, 47th in opportunities gained, 4th off the tee because he has been finding fairways like a fiend, and 21st in par 5 scoring, which I was surprised to see. Yeah, Charles Howell III has been playing really good golf lately. I'm sort of surprised to see the ownership this low. Don't love that he doesn't have the distance off the tee that I'd like to see around this golf course, but I mean, the guy's been gaining strokes in bunches. Gained 6.7 strokes tee to green at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Gained 11.1 strokes tee to green at the Players. Gained 4.4 strokes total at Corrales Punta Cana. Can't see the detailed breakdown of strokes gained data there, but he's been playing well is the point. Had a 9th place finish there at the Players, so the upside's there too, especially at this price tag, $7,800. Ownership's only 5.3%. I think people are overlooking Charles Howell III a bit. He last played this event in 2015 and he was cut, so that's certainly the concern. That maybe Chucky Three Sticks doesn't have the distance off the tee to contend with this golf course, but he's been so stellar off the tee lately and finding so many fairways. I think he's a bit undervalued, so I'll look to Charles Howell III at $7,800 and 5.3% projected ownership. Also, let's take a little peek at Gary Woodland, priced all the way down here at $7,600 and 2.3% projected ownership. My big concern with Woodland is that he had been absolutely pathetic off the tee for really like the last year to year and a half, which is very concerning given that's, in his heyday, that's where Woodland, that's where he made his money off the tee. So seeing him struggle off the tee for an extended period of time has been very concerning, but in 2 of his last 3 events, he's gained off the tee, gained at the Genesis and the Players, gained 2.9 off the tee at the Genesis, gained 1.8 at the Players, gained 4 strokes tee to green at the Genesis, 2 strokes tee to green at the Players, had WGC Mexico sandwiched in between there where he had a bad performance, lost 5.2 strokes tee to green, lost half a stroke off the tee, but it looks like he's starting to turn it around off the tee, and we know that Gary Woodland certainly is a better player than this $7,600 price tag in this field suggests. So if he has turned it around off the tee and the game's starting to round into form, like we don't even need Woodland to be peak Woodland to pay off this price tag at $7,600. 2.3% projected ownership is nothing. So keep an eye on Woodland this week, guys. I also like Sebastian Munoz, $7,600 price tag. 5.4% projected ownership. Just a guy who can make birdies in bunches, and when he's hot, he's nuclear. So a high upside, low floor play. But the price tag's right at $7,600. The ownership's not overbearing at 5.4%. I would prefer going to Woodland at the same price tag and half the ownership. But Munoz also looking solid. And the last mid-shelf play is the lefty, one Mr. Phil Mickelson, $7,500 price tag, and 1% projected ownership is really why I like Phil. Phil been playing well lately, too. Coming in 8th in the custom model, 16th on approach, 34th with the putter, 49th in opportunities gained. 49th in opportunities gained, 18th off the tee, and 37th in strokes gained on the par 5s. And Phil had himself a nice little stretch there in Florida. So came 26th at the Honda, 35th at the Players. Gained 4.1 strokes tee to green at the Honda, 3.6 strokes tee to green at the Players. Gained 1.6 strokes on approach at the Honda. Gained 4.5 strokes on approach at the Players. Phil just looks like he's playing well right now. So for 1% projected ownership, it's not hard to get a sprinkling of Phil, right? You stick him in one lineup, and we know the upside that Phil Mickelson carries with him. He is a Hall of Famer, right? While he's at the tail end of his Hall of Fame career, he looks to be rounding into some decent form. So did miss the cut here in 2016, but came T30 in 2015. Has not played the event since then, since his 2016 missed cut. So we'd like to see what Phil does here coming into the event in good form. And he is our last mid-shelf play. So let me get some more water. I'm going to spark this thing back up and finish it up. And then we can get into everyone's favorite part of the week where we throw some darts at some scrubs. The SCHWAG bag. And we even have some ownership being carried in the top part of the SCHWAG bag, which, yeah, guys, this balanced build is going to be super popular this week. All right. The first SCHWAG bag play, John Huh, $7,400 price tag, 9% projected ownership. Huh coming in 12th in the custom model, 41st on approach, 60th in opportunities gained, 9th off the tee, 4th in par 5s, but coming in 122nd with the putter. So it's pretty simple this week for John Huh. If you can be neutral on the greens, you're going to pay off this price tag. I like the ownership being in single digits, 9%. Feels good. We're getting a bit of an ownership discount on Huh in comparison to these next two players that are priced right here in this pricing range with him that I'm going to mention. And really the only difference here lately is that Huh has been pathetic with the putter on these Bermuda surfaces. So if we can get an ownership discount for a guy at a good price tag and just have to hope that he gets a little bit of putting luck, that's sort of on brand for us here at the HTG pod. Some guys that are hitting the ball a bit better than Huh and at similar price tags. Sam Ryder, $7,400 price tag as well, 14.1% projected ownership. So, considerably more ownership on Ryder, and it's because he's been hitting the ball so well. 36th in the custom model, but 24th on approach over the last 12 measured rounds. And even more specifically here, gained 5 strokes on approach at the Honda and 7.9 strokes tee to green. Gained 12.4 strokes total at Corrales Punta Cana en route to that second place finish he had behind Joel Dahman. So yeah, Ryder just great form. No pun intended, but riding great form on Sam Ryder. So looking like a really strong play at this price tag. 14.1% projected ownership is fair. Considering that Huh's giving you, 33% reduced ownership, it becomes a really good question between those two. But I do like Ryder as well. I also like Doug Ghim, $7,300. Surprised to see him priced down here. 16.1% projected ownership, which it's one of the highest ownership projections really I've seen since doing the podcast down here in the SCHWAG bag. It's rare, unless someone's just completely mispriced. It's rare you see someone climb this high. Both Ghim and Ryder pretty high owned down here in the SCHWAG bag. But man, Doug Ghim is a better player than this price tag, especially here as of late. 14th in the custom model, 12th on approach, 53rd in opportunities gained, 30th off the tee, and 30th in par 5s, 92nd with the putter. This is a mispricing. Ghim's been too good to price him down here in the field this week. So even at 16.1%, I will certainly be looking to some Doug Ghim this week. Also like Matthew Nesmith, $7,100, 8.3% projected ownership. Coming in 30th in the custom model, another guy who just can't putt, 100th in stroke skin putting on these Bermuda surfaces over the last 12 measured rounds. But he's been killing the par 5s, comes in 7th in that statistic, and 20th on approach. So Nesmith been playing well lately. Gained 4.4 strokes tee to green at the Honda. Gained 0.3 strokes on approach. Did lose half a stroke off the tee was my concern with Nesmith. Lost half a stroke off the tee at the Honda and half a stroke off the tee at the Arnold Palmer Invitational. But he has gained off the tee over his last 5, 10, and 20 measured events. So, can't hold two subpar performances, no pun intended, against Nesmith. So I do like Nesmith. $7,100 is pretty easy to fit into your lineups. 8.3% projected ownership is certainly fair. I would probably go toward a more like a higher upside play though at the same price tag, and Harry Higgs at the same $7,100 price tag. 10.9% projected ownership, so the ownership's a little bit higher. But, Higgs coming in 3rd in approach and 4th in opportunities gained in this field over the last 12 measured rounds. That's an elite skill set that can carry him to a really high finish here in this event. So, all the way down here in the SCHWAG bag at $7,100, even at 10.9% projected ownership. I love the upside of Harry Higgs. Understand it's, of course, a high-risk, high-reward play. Higgs is in the SCHWAG bag for a reason. 87th with the putter, 82nd off the tee, 49th in par 5 scoring. So you're really going to rely on this guy to be stellar on approach and be stellar with the irons, but he has been just that over his last 12 measured rounds at the very least. So getting an elite skill set like that down here in the SCHWAG bag is always appealing. Also appealing down here, Luke List at $7,000, 2.3% projected ownership, coming in 23rd in the custom model, 84th on approach and 52nd with the putter are what's really dragging him down. List needs to return to form with the irons, but when he does hit good approach, he's hitting them close. He's 11th in opportunities gained, 12th off the tee, and 15th in par 5 scoring. List historically a bad putter, so we're going to need him to run, a little lucky with the putter, just not gouge away strokes like he did at the Honda where he lost 5.5 strokes on the greens. But he did gain 3.6 strokes tee to green, gained 1.7 strokes off the tee, gained 1.9 strokes on approach that week at the Honda. So yeah, this is the type of ball striker you love to see at a $7,000 flat price tag, 2.3% projected ownership. Look, he could putt like shit and miss the cut, but I mean, there's problems with all these guys down here in this pricing range. So at least Luke List is providing you with a lot of upside at a low ownership projection. Getting down into the actual $6,000 range, only 2 plays I like down here. One being Roger Sloan, $6,700 price tag, coming in 13th in the custom model, and Sloan been playing surprisingly well lately. 17th on approach, 55th with the putter, 28th in opportunities gained, 25th off the tee, and 65th in par 5 scoring. So not a guy you expect to score very well on the par 5s, but if he can run a little bit hot with the putter and make some more birdies on these par 5s, he has been turning in performances that would definitely warrant playing him at $6,700. Came 22nd at the Puerto Rico Open, where he gained 6.2 strokes total. Came 25th at the Honda, where he gained 6.4 strokes total. Gained 4 strokes tee to green, 5.7 strokes on approach at the Honda. Gained 5.4 strokes total at Corrales Punta Cana. I mean, this guy's playing some phenomenal golf, and he's down here at $6,700. I don't love the 11% projected ownership because, I mean, he's Roger Sloan, right? So, I mean, that is a concern. If we can eliminate 1/10 of the field just by fading Roger Sloan, who could easily miss a cut, right? That is appealing, but Sloan does look very good. He's been playing, at least he's been striking the ball very well lately, which is very, very appealing down here at a $6,700 price tag. And the last swag bag play, and then we can get the hell out of here and get ready for the Masters, which everyone is actually waiting for. Bo Hoag, $6,400, 4.5% projected ownership. Hoag, you probably remember, burned us at the Honda where he missed the cut. But we're going to go back to him. Fuck it. Because, I mean, it wasn't his ball striking that burned us at the Honda. He gained 1.5 strokes off the tee and 1.9 strokes on approach at the Honda. Gained 2.9 strokes off the tee and 0.2 strokes on approach at the Players. And missed the cut in both events because he can't putt and he's terrible around the green. But long term, he actually is a decent, at least field neutral putter and a field neutral around the green player. So if he can get back to being field neutral in those categories, he will smash this price tag. Absolutely smash it based on how he's been striking the ball lately. So I'll certainly be firing up some Bo Hoag. I actually do prefer him to Roger Sloan because we're getting the reduced ownership on Hoag, 4.5%, much more palatable than Sloan's 11%. And we're saving an extra $300. So I do really like Bo Hoag, even though, he's a guy who's missed his last 2 cuts. So he certainly comes with his fair share of risk. But that's the name of the game. If we want to win these DraftKings tournaments, we got to be willing to take on some risk. And Bo Hoag, a guy that can turn in a solid performance for us, came 26th at the API. So that's the type of performance where he gained 3.3 strokes putting. If we can get that type of performance from Hoag, he is the kind of guy you might see in a winning lineup, and he might allow you to get up to some of these top shelf plays like Finau and Scheffler, which, as I mentioned, I think those are going to be unique builds this week. So make sure you guys take into account your ownership projections of your total lineup builds. It's okay to take some chalky players. Just make sure that your entire lineup isn't chalk. And if you are going to take an entire lineup that's pretty chalky, leave some money on the table, right? Leave some salary on the table. Don't use all $50,000. let's build those bankrolls this week, guys. This is a tune-up event. We know what the real event is, what the big event is. We're all geared up for the fucking Masters. It's going to be unbelievable. Oh, pumped to take down this Millie. Someone in the HTG crew get a big hit. Let's go. Make sure you get your tickets in on Cameron Davis. Drop in the comments who you think's going to win the event, what you're smoking on. Please make sure to like the video on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to the channel, seriously, I don't know what's wrong with you. Please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know every time that I come out with new content. Go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram while you're at it, at Hit the Green Podcast. We'll drop content whenever a new video or new article hits the website. So make sure you follow us on Instagram so you know. HTG crew, it's bankroll building time. We don't love the Valero Texas Open, but it's another opportunity to get some cash in our accounts. So let's go out there, let's enjoy the event, let's make some money, and let's stay lifted. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Masters Week, baby. Peace.